It was a quiet Sunday just a couple weeks ago. I'd ran out of steam to record the final sections of my most recent dribbling guide video, so I decided to jump into some ranked before dinner. Just the night before, I managed to get my third Grand Champion tournament win, securing my first red tournament title ever. I was feeling threes at that moment, arguably the most in form I've ever been in too. I was on the cusp of losing Grand Champion 1 in threes, but no biggie, I was keen to hop into some games anyway. I get into my first few games for the day, starting off with 2 wins off the bat, which gave me hope that this session would actually be a good one finally. I wasn't playing the best, however, was doing enough to contribute to the team and getting those 2 wins. But then, in my third game, was dealt with my first loss for the session. Threes has been rather interesting here in OCE for Season 8. I'll solo queue into a Grand Champion game with 2 GC teammates on my side. However, look to my opponents, seeing that some of them are either 1300s or noticing that one GC player is paired up with 2 gold ranked players. I started to think, is OCE really that small that people are getting bored and queuing with their lower ranked friends? Or is everyone just wanting to be boosted for the Season 8 rewards this season? And you know how it is sometimes when you put up against lower ranked players? Sometimes you actually have no idea how to read or predict them. Well, at least that's the case for me. I was now going into my 4th game and I suddenly ran into a full party of 1300 players. Finally, the first game putting me up against a full stack of these 1300s to smash. Easy win, so I thought. The first minute or so, I was actually trying to work out if it was a couple smurfs trying to help their lower ranked friend or not. They also had quite a defensive playstyle too, so if you're ever queuing against me in OCE, use that tactic and you'll win easily. But let's get back to the story here. They were quite focused on us making the mistakes for them to counter. It was also a challenge for my team too. We really didn't have much synergy together, often doing a lot of solo plays. And with just over a minute left in the game, one of the opposition players was able to beat all 3 of us, allowing for their teammate to get an easy goal. All of a sudden, I started to see the opposition team mock us in the chat. Supposedly we weren't worthy of their time, and they started to target one of my teammates in particular. I'm not too sure, but I think they may have queued into each other in the previous games that I wasn't in. Knowing Rocket League and its player base though, I shrugged it off and tried to help my team get the win in the final minute. Unfortunately, we were unlucky in doing so, taking my second L for the session. Usually after 2 or so losses, I like to take a little mental break to actually regain and focus on the next few games. However, I actually didn't do this and decided, hey, I'm just going to jump into my 5th game straight away. I've only got limited time, might as well do so. And with OCE being OCE, ran into those same players I played just that game before. It was also in this game where I started to notice things weren't going quite right. To counteract that offensive playstyle, I was being super aggressive that game, often cutting rotations of my teammates just to keep pressure on that team. And at times, forgetting that I needed to actually be in the goals helping my team out. We let a goal through with just over 2 minutes left in the game, and this is where things started to change for me. I now see one of the opposition players talking trash about me, but not in the way that I'd expect though. I was also joined by one of my previous teammates in this second game against them too, who was then told by this opposition player that they feel sorry for them having a spud of a teammate like me. I kid you not, I usually get over this relatively quickly, but this team was really starting to get into my head and it was annoying me. And just a minute later, I had the opportunity to clear the ball outside of our defensive half over to their side of the field, but I didn't do that. I whiffed the ball right in front of my net. What happened? They scored their second goal for the game. The quick chat was then flooded with water saves left, right and centre. And at that second, started to question why I'd put over 5,000 hours into this game in the first place. I wasn't thinking as I'd normally think either, almost second guessing every little movement I'd make on the field and whether or not I actually wanted to go for the ball. At that point, I was purely playing the game out of rage. So when the clock hit 0 and the score was 2-0, I thought, I'm just going to throw myself in a 6th game just so I can actually get a win finally. Why did I do that? You guessed it, friends. They were my opponents for my 3rd game straight. There were no other thoughts going through my mind other than beat these suckers. I was focused on playing more defensively, and also, in this game was paired up with an 1100 player, so this really wasn't helping my case and it just wasn't a day for Rocket League. But anyway, we persevered and continued on. We lasted 3.5 minutes until I decided to push up close on attack, already seeing that both of my teammates had double committed, leaving me the only one left as last man. And then whiffing the ball, trying to get back onto defense as fast as I could, but that wasn't enough. They scored another goal. You're probably thinking now, Jack, surely this couldn't get any worse. Well, my friends, it actually does. Just under a minute ago, I'm getting back onto defense, seeing that my teammate had completely whiffed a clear, again leaving me as last man to defend the goal. Here I am in goal, thinking that my opponent's actually going to hit the ball, and they actually don't. They completely whiff it, leaving me in some weird no man's land, thinking, okay, what do I do now? And this is what happened. And that was the story of the day Rocket League tilted me over the edge. Come back next time for the story on how I met Huggy Wuggy in Rocket League. I'm Jack, and I'll see you next time. Catch ya.